So now the question is, how can we access each single object of these JSON of these objects and display it here in the front end? So this is a very important question, because once you have the data, you probably need to do something with the data. You probably need to either store it in some location or display it. Usually, in most situations, you need to make a JSON request to get a response, to get a data and display that data to users. So the question now is, how can we display this data, these fake posts in the front end, so that users can see and read these posts? How can we do that? Well, first of all, we need to understand the logic behind passing data from JavaScript to HTML. There is actually no way to pass data from here, from JavaScript to HTML, except by manipulating the DOM. So JavaScript is capable of accessing HTML tags. Therefore, we can use this technique, this feature that JavaScript has, in order to pass data from the JavaScript to HTML. So in HTML, first we should have here a tag that we have in our website to display data inside. So I'm going to create here a div, and then inside that div, I'm gonna give this div an ID called posts. Let's just name it posts. And then I'm going to use this in order to pass data, in order to pass the posts from the JSON, from the JavaScript to the HTML. So JavaScript, as I told you, is capable of manipulating the HTML. Therefore, here we can create a function that accesses the index.html, and then accesses this div, and then passes data into this div. So here I'm going to create a new function. I'm going to create a new function, and then I'm going to name it insert data or posts. Let's say posts into HTML. And this function is going to take the posts. I'm going to say here posts, which is basically these posts. It's an array. So this posts is an array. I'm going to say here this is an array. Posts is an array. And then in order to pass data, as I told you, we need to make reference. We need to access this div. So to access this div, we use the document.getElementById. That way I will be able to access this element, this div. So I'm going to say getElementById. So which div we want to access? We want to access this div, which has an ID of posts. So getElementById, and then posts. And then I'm going to store that in a variable called posts_div. So this now document.getElementById posts is basically this div. So I have made reference to this div so that I will be able to pass data inside it. And now that we have this, now that I have made reference to this div, let me here add a comment. Let me add here a comment. I'm going to say make reference to the div that has an ID of posts. Then what we need to do is that we need to get the posts and then pass the posts to the index to the posts div. How can we do that? Well, we need to loop over the posts because the posts is an array. As I told you, the posts here, this posts is an array of objects. So we need to loop over this posts and get each single post and display that post inside the div. So to loop over the posts, I'm going to be using a function called map. This function is capable of looping over the posts, looping over an array. And this function takes two parameters. It takes the first parameter is each single post, and the second parameter is the index of that post. So this map function is gonna loop over the posts, and for each time we get a post from that post, this function, this callback function, is gonna be called, and it's gonna provide us with a single post and its index, and then we can do whatever we want here. Do whatever you want with the post. Yes. So each time this function is not going to be called once. This function gets called each single time we have a post. So if we have, for example, if we have 100 posts, this function is going to be called 100 times. If we have here, we have, I think, 99 or 100 posts. Therefore, the map function is going to be called 100 times. If you have two posts, the map function is going to be called 2 times with the post and the index. So now that we have a post and the index, we want to display that post and inside that index, inside that div. So how can we do that? To do that, we need to use the inner HTML. This inner HTML is a property of any element we have in the DOM, where it allows us to store data or to display data inside that div or any element, basically, not just a div. So we can say post div or posts div dot inner HTML, and then it's going to be equal to each single post we get. So each single post, you need to know that each single post has these keys. Each single post has these properties. Each single post has user ID, title, and body. So we need to access these here. So here we need to display inside that posts div, we need to display elements, for example, h1 and paragraph and also span. And for each one of them, we need to display the corresponding element. So for the h1, inside the h1 we can display the title, and in the paragraph we can display the body, because here in the service we have the title can be displayed in a h1 or h2, and the body can be displayed in a paragraph. So here in inner HTML, and then I'm gonna say double curly braces, and then I'm gonna say first I'm gonna say h1 or h2, and then I'm gonna say plus, and then in a new line, plus. In a new line, we need to display also p, paragraph, and then I'm going to say plus, and finally we need to display also the, let's say, the ID of the post. So in the third line here, I'm going to say span. So for each one of them, we need to pass to concatenate the post title and the post body. We need to access the post title, the post body, and the post ID. So for the first one, for the h2, I'm going to say here double curly braces and then plus in order to concatenate, and then I'm going to say post post dot, and then we want to access the title, post.title, because the key for the title is called title. The key for body is body, and the key for the ID is ID. In the paragraph, I'm going to display the body. So I'm going to say here double curly braces and then plus plus, and then inside between these two pluses, I'm going to say post dot body. Finally, I'm going to display plus plus, but I need first to say double curly braces and then plus plus, and then post, and then dot, and then ID. That's it. But the problem with this is that it's going to display only one single post, because each time we are kind of erasing everything from the post dev. Therefore, we need to say here, we need to say equals to, and then post dev dot inner HTML, which is going to get us the old data from the inner HTML, and then plus the new post. So this this post dev dot inner HTML is going to get us all of the old posts that we already have in the that we have already displayed to the user, and then each time we get a new post, it's going to be added to the dev. So this is kind of confusing, but don't be confused. What this does is that it gets the posts that we have already displayed, and then it adds the new post to them. Because the first iteration, this inner HTML is going to be empty, and then we add to it the first post. But this in the second iteration, if we don't add this code, if we don't add this line, what's going to happen is that it's going to add the second post instead of the first post, and we don't want that. We want to display the second post below the first post, and then in the third iteration we want to display the third post below the first and the second post, and then in the fourth iteration we want to display the third post or the fourth post below the first and the second and the third posts. So this is kind of getting the posts that we have already displayed, and then displaying them in this dev.